So we saw everybody running down like Euclid Street, and a bunch of people were running, and nobody had any idea what was going on. And like I wasn't running at all. I was walking with Natasha, and I was just what the heck's going on? They're like, well, they just arrested a little kid, and then somebody had ran back. Somebody ran back, and they're beating us, like they're beating our people. Like you guys need to do something. And like we get there, and the first thing I see is 6 cops like kind of in a circle, like, and I've never actually seen cops look as afraid as these cops.
Then someone came over as I was starting to interview the next woman. Somebody came over like, yo, they're arresting a 14-year-old kid down the block. And it was like, for real?
They had their pepper spray out and they're ready to go, and they looked completely terrified against like what looked like there were maybe like 100 folks there at the time, but like right in the cops' face were maybe like 20 people who were like in their face, kind of like locking arms, and then the cops all of a sudden started started pepper spraying folks.
And when you see the video, I mean, I ended up watching the video of the dude, like they were just filming what was going on, and this one dude was just like, all right, fuck all that, and started just spraying everybody. Like at that moment, I'm just like, oh, this is where they just roll up on 12-year-olds and shoot them, you know what I mean, without getting out the fucking car.
You need milk?
Some folks were just like walked away, but then afterwards, like folks had locked arms and then started like leaning onto like 2 cops. Like they were literally sort of like leaning each other back and forth.
There was 2 rows of people sitting behind the cop cars. On one, I find out that he's in this car. The other one, it was just a regular car or whatever, cop car. And on the other side of that, there were people standing up.
And then one of the organizers there was like, yo, stop leaning against them and like sit down in the road and lock arms. That way they can't move you. So like so people were doing that while folks who were getting pepper sprayed were like throwing stuff at the cops, like throwing like water bottles at the cops, and people were like, yo, stop throwing stuff, you know, like. And then I remember like flying over my head and like watching this in slow motion and like being like, yo, this is not good. Like my heart was like beating extremely fast, and like I was terrified that like a cop was gonna get hit and like shit was gonna go down. So somebody started throwing stuff, and then like somebody jumped on top of the cop car, and one of the organizers came and like they took the one person down from the cop car, and then they took the one person who was throwing stuff, and they're like, yo, like, go get milk and go get water and milk to help folks, like, get the tear gas out of their eyes. I mean, these folks clearly just had this closing ceremony, and to have that powerful ceremony at the end, I was like very optimistic to then see, like, okay, now the ceremony is over, y'all back in the real world, and this shit is happening like right now.
There was no transition time for us, right? Like we didn't close out the space. Like there was no, it was just like, all right, we're gonna leave on our theme song with our anthem, which I think is fine, right? But I think in between that, there should have been a moment of saying like, all right, you know, we're leaving this space. We've been in a bubble for 3 days, and you're gonna have to go back into the real world.
And then like, in the snap of a finger, like a group of organizers, I don't know where they're from. I mean, people told me like some of them were from Oakland and some were from Ferguson. I'm not too sure, but like they immediately like assigned roles, like out of nowhere. Like they took folks, the folks who were like the most agitated and like combative with the cops, like they took them to the corner and like just started hugging them, you know.
The only woman that didn't sit, she had like she had a black shirt on with gold writing, and she just was like triggered. She was like, why? She's like, why do we always gotta? Why can't we ever fight back? She's like, why we always gotta chill?
So I was rubbing her back, and she was still very angry, and she didn't know me. And her friend tried to talk to her, but then like I stepped back, and I just started praying, like in the space. Like there was a moment where I just started praying for everything that was happening, and what was going on, and my fear that like the cops might impose violence on her. And so I just started praying, and I was just like, I don't want this to go in the wrong way.
This is when like the idea of like all Black Lives Matter to really set in. So they got people hugging her to my left. James is sitting here at the end. There's a woman who I found out from Oakland. She's doing the whole mic check thing to get people to kind of like follow directions. Then I see like the trans woman who was on stage, I guess the day before. She was out there.
And then out of nowhere, somebody gave numbers to like the legal support. And then there were like negotiators, and all this is happening. And then while this is all happening, a bunch of people are recording like every single interaction. So like, I know like there was like a couple on social media. There was like maybe 4 or 5 videos, but like there were at least like 15 phones, like at least. And then the rest of the time, it was just sort of like, how can you control like people's raw anger and raw emotion? The child's parent had came, and she had requested that we back away from the street so that way the son can have access to go onto the ambulance, and that way he can. And then later the son can have access to leave the ambulance and go into a car. But while that was happening, folks were like, no, like we don't want to leave the street because we don't believe that they're gonna let him go for free.
They took him from the car to the EMS. The EMS checked him. He was still in cuffs. I almost said chains. He was still in cuffs, and people were triggered off of that because we got him out of the cop car. But then they're like,
no, he's still in cuffs. Why is he still in cuffs? Wait. Why is he still in cuffs?
So we get off the streets. The mother is asking us, yo, they're gonna let him out. We get off the streets. We get to the sidewalk, and then he comes out and he hops in his mom's SUV. And I come around and everybody's chanting like, yo, we love you, we love you, we love you. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going through this kid's head? What's going through his mother's head? Like, this shit is wild. And so the car drives off, you know what I mean, like into the sunset. And everybody just gets in the street and starts singing Kendrick Lamar. Niggas, we gonna be all right. And I'm like, this shit is amazing. This shit is really fucking amazing. Like that we just unarrested somebody. And what could happen when we're not there? Like what can happen when the community isn't informed? In situations like this go down, you're just a bystander, you're just filming or whatever. Like I didn't know I could sit in front of a cop car and you can't fucking move. Like that's crazy.
Like it was at that moment when I realized, shit, like this organizing work is a craft and is actually possible. And at that moment I realized, I'm like, yo, like I need to learn this craft and like I need to be able to see this stuff happen in Buffalo.
And I've just been thinking about it the past few days, and I mean, I think it's easier and getting easier. And also, right, I'm still in the space where I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, this whole thing just happened. And there's still so many people who don't know about it that I'm interacting with every day. And I just went through this huge thing and no one around me even knows what happened or even knows that it mattered.
I need a bulletproof snapback. I need a bulletproof snapback. I need a bulletproof snapback. I'm having civil rights flashbacks. I need a bulletproof snapback. I need a bulletproof snapback. I need a bulletproof snapback.